In October of last year, I myself was lucky enough to go to the northern areas of Pakistan, a stunning area of the world, truly beautiful with an incredible culture. And what I saw there were excited and inspired students going to quality schools set up by the Aga Khan Education Services. I saw new and cutting-edge health centers led by the Aga Khan Health Services, and I saw what can only be described as a bright and vibrant future, full of hope and determination. I saw all of these things, but I saw one thing that we cannot ignore, and that is climate change and its long-lasting effects on the people living in these regions. You know, I'll never forget interviewing a family in their home and speaking to the father who I had asked which threats and risks his family were facing. I expected him to explain it to me, but instead he stood up and casually walked over to the window and he showed them to me. He pointed to the right, he pointed to the river flowing through the valley, and he said, "This is where we have the annual floods." Then he looked down at the ground and he said, "We also have the occasional earthquake." And then he pointed over to the left, to the mountain, and said, "This is where we have our avalanche risks." I remember looking at that mountain, and about halfway up, there were two big boulders about the size of the home that I was standing in. And it looked like only a matter of time before it would come down, toppling down the mountain. And I can tell you now, the 30 minutes that I stood in that house, I was afraid.
When a glacier lake bursts, there is an enormous amount of not only ice and rocks and water and debris that falls through, also mud and so on, and this has devastating effects. It basically destroys everything that comes, in its way.
Wow. Wow. Mm.
In Gilgit have shown anger as floods have hit the region, severely affecting hundreds of families. A large number of people have migrated to safer places as they complain of lack of arrangements by local authority and National Disaster Management Authority. Monsoon Contingency Response Directive 2019, issued by the authority, says monsoon rains could also result in the melting and calving of glaciers, an increase in sea levels, along with flash floods and landslides.
The scenery is absolutely epic. I mean, it's like nothing we've ever seen before. You can go to Europe and you can see the mountains in Europe and the Alps. You can go to New Zealand and see stunning scenery there as well. But this is of a scale that I've never seen before, or you, have you, Catherine? And I mean, the Himalayas are beautiful. And coming up here and seeing all the communities on the way up here, you realise how many people are living up here and how dependent they are on the sort of precious, very fragile environment that's here. It was really important to come to Pakistan and one, again, see all the different range of environments there are in Pakistan and really trying to get a feel of the country, but also to use our voice, to lend our position and our visits to kind of talk about issues like climate change, issues about the environment. And we've seen all around the world now, the young are getting very engaged in what's going on. And I think it's fantastic that we can all come together and really have a very good conversation about what we need to do, and that action needs to happen very soon because a lot of people rely on this, and if we take too long about this, we will lose many of the precious things we care about. All locally around here?
No, not only in this village. We have it's very difficult to get to everybody. One of the best approaches is, I believe, ये ज़रूरी है ये काम करना ये सीखना।